The following video will be about enshittification, plan obsolescence, stop killing games, and many other subject matters. This will be an old man, me, yelling at clouds kind of video, so you don't have to watch it. But it will also be a review of yet another copy of Rust Legacy, the video game, client, and server that I would have downloaded and done a review of, except for something going wrong. Hence the reason for the angry video. Background. Where did I find the links for this? The TheRustAdmin YouTube channel has a video that ends in L4U0, and its name is something along the lines of Play Rust Legacy Cars version 2018. This was uploaded 2017, December 20th, in time for 2018. And it also has a note in the comment section or in the video's description, I forgot which, that mentions that it has links and they were updated because they were bad all of a sudden in the year 2024, about last year. Now, the video game we're talking about was released in 2013, December 11th. There was a pre-alpha or pre-release version that came out before that, and it's unknown how long it was available, but it was a web page you'd go to and play the video game at. And it was just called playrust.com. Now, this was first released through Steam by Facepunch Studios, and they used in the making of it Unity 4.5 as the game engine. And again, that was December 11th, 2013. Now, the upload associated with the TheRustAdmin YouTube channel in a video in 2017, calling it something 2018, with a link update in 2024 because the links went bad or they were erased, so they had some new ones. The product it links to on mega.nz for the client and server is referred to as Rust v19.12.13, client and server setup.exe. The client, or game, is 363 megabytes and expands out to just under 1 gigabyte. And the client is 371 megabytes and expands out to just over 1 gigabyte. Or at least it should. The v19.12.13 is a bastardized version of a time and date stamp. And it can only mean, practically, since 2013 is when it came out, or maybe earlier, but anyway, it can only really mean either 2013 December 19th or, oddly, 2019 December 13th. Since there's only 12 months in a year, there's only 30 days in a month, or less than that, 28 days, depending. And it has to be after the year 2013 or maybe 2012 if you got a really early download, which I would love to get my hands on. So it has to be 2013 December 19th, which means this was a copy almost exactly a week after it came out. Probably the 1 week update, because they were doing updates about that timing. So let's go on. Both of these exe files that you would download off of mega.nz were packed with Smart Install Maker, or SIM, version 5.03. Now, unlike the V19 number, which is really just a time and date stamp and it's referring to the day of the month almost exclusively, this one's actually referring to the 5th generation of the product and a subversion 3. Smart Install Maker V5.03 also corresponds with this number, 2010 September 23rd. Now, here's where everything goes to hell. As some of you may know from previous videos I've done and other people's videos, if you want to download Rust Legacy the video game or Rust Legacy the server, which I'd love to find literally every incremental change to the server and clients that exist, that's why I was excited to find this, these are all files that if you download them, you can just zip them shut or put them in a RAR file or 7-zip it or PK-zip it or stuff it into any archival format you want to. There's no reason to do an installer when you can just extract it to a directory and let it find itself, because Rust Legacy, like many games that are written correctly, notoriously can figure out what directory it's in and then go look for the other files. It doesn't need to do anything else. With the exception of a registry setting that it's dependent on because it's presuming it's working under Steam. Please note that since it was removed from Steam December 8th in 2016, Steam is no longer going to pay attention to it, so you have to fake Steam. At least that's allegedly. So anyway, Smart Installer Maker. Okay, well, this is a piece of software I should be able to go after and use it to extract the files, because I don't want to just run the installer as setup because I can't scan it before I run it. That's not possible. And I'm not going to do a live scan while it's extracting, because that won't work either, because anybody installing malware is going to get around that. So I go looking for Smart Installer Maker version 5.03. The website went dead sometime in 2024. The last version it had out was 2011, and it was version 5.04, excuse me. But a 2011 era simsetup.exe download was available on archive.org, which is rare. And when I downloaded it, it was a right version. It was fine. But it doesn't have in the piece of software the ability to reverse the process of creating these installers. Now remember, this installer would have very likely or almost absolutely been created not by FacePunch or Steam or anybody like that. This was done by whoever uploaded it and put it onto Mega NZ. And I want to point out a couple of problems here. Number one, because this doesn't let me reverse the process, I can't use it as an extractor, even though that is bare minimum a requirement if I'm going to use an install builder. I built things using install builders, and the breaking point that I wouldn't buy them or use them is I couldn't use them to re-extract it. Because if you can't re-extract it, that means it's protected from copyright thieves and pirates. See also that this is literally somebody else's creation that's being repacked here. Why would you put it using a copyright protection system when you've obviously stolen it? Because, again, when you download the game, even from Steam, it just extracts it into something you can easily zip shut and send. This is absolutely aggravating. But anyway, the Smart Install Maker isn't able to extract it, so I went on to something else. I used Smart Install Maker Unpacker, or Sim Unpacker. And it was on a website that's also dead, or being blocked, nullsecurity.org tools. It was one of the only ones that was listed in 1 year. And it leads to a download with a long string of characters, but it does do a download, and I was able to get that one. And using it, and also using UniExtract and several other extractors, I was able to get a maximum out of each of the 360 or 370 megabyte file sets, 18 megabytes. That's after being decompressed. There should be about a gig of data there. And what was in that 18 megs? Jack and or shit. It would fail at the fourth file very consistently in both files. They were uploaded technically as two separate archives on two separate mega.nz file sets. So what that means is, and because it broke off in the fourth file in both, and it broke off exactly the same percentage, this is not that it failed, it's that the files are booby-trapped so that they won't let you do it, because at that point it switched to some obfuscation or encryption internally only used to keep people from, quote-unquote, stealing your programs that you're packing. Program installer builders, like I said, if they make it to where the file can't be force extracted, I don't use them at all. This is the reason I will just use WinZip, 7-Zip, or WinRAR and tell it to make a installer out of the zip file, because they include that ability. Or just write the program to where it doesn't require an installer. Again, the only thing that needs to be added, and it's added when you run it, for Rust Legacy to work, is a couple of dozen registry entries that are done by running something that you use to change your login name or you're called in the game. Just use the name changer and it does it. This is dumb. This is unnecessary. And again, it's because it has to fake being Steam, because Steam doesn't support it anymore, number one. Number two, even if it did, they don't let you download and install the game anymore. And the next layer of it is that I'm using an operating system they won't let me install Steam on in the first place, which pisses me off no end. So out of the 18 megabytes, what did I find? I found that it contained more files that were also somehow encoded or encrypted, but they were able to be extracted partially. And they turned out to be almost exclusively more blank name files that required even more layers of obfuscation to clean them up. Or standard things like the little startup wizard with a picture of a CD-ROM or something. And then I found the supposed file that's supposed to do the real work of running the installer. And all it did was run an executable that extracted as file 0. So what is the rest of the instructions in that file, 8 kbytes worth? Well, it refers to bitcoin-reaper.cl, litecoin-reaper, solidcoin-reaper, and the config files. It also has Reaper for NVIDIA, Reaper for HD4 something, and Reaper config. When I looked up Reaper, and I also looked up Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Solidcoin, all I found were mentions of Bitcoin mining. CUDART32_50_35.dll, curl.dll, libcurl.dll, libz, or zlib1.dll, pthread for GC2, VC2, and just pthread, OpenCL, MSVCP, and VCR100 DLLs, and various other entries were in this script that all run a bunch of these things at once, or use them as includes, or references, or whatever, in a file set that is designed to make it to where I can't just manually extract a large file. Now, I want to point out the large file is a CAB, cabinet file, which is supposed to universally be extractable because that's its designation. It's an open file format. But somehow, again, it had a oops corrupted part, which is programmed in by the installer. Because, again, two different pieces of software, they are different, the client and server, uploaded, apparently on the same day, although I can't tell because mega.nz doesn't tell you the time and date stamp things are uploaded. That didn't help at all either. Having the error happen exactly the same location in each file, and having things that are referring to Bitcoin. Okay, now let's go back to the Trust Me Bro installer. Again, a majority of, maybe because of me recently, a majority of client downloads, or all of them currently, this is an older file obviously, don't use installers because, number one, you don't need them. Number two, I don't trust you, bro. And number three, I will review your shit and throw it in your face. This is no shade on the YouTube channel TheRustAdmin. They're just linking to a copy that they found that would work, or maybe it's uploaded and it's perfectly fine. It may actually be perfectly fine to download these 300 meg plus exe files and run them with them obfuscating enough files that you can't possibly virus scan them. I'm sure that that could be totally fine. And I don't give a fuck, I'm not doing it. So, if any of you want to extract this and then simply compact them down to a RAR file with time and date stamps retained in both cases, somehow make sure the time and date stamp is still in the file so I know that they're authentic from a time and date standpoint, that'd be great. But I'm not doing it. I'm going to include the links, but I'm going to suggest you don't do it unless you're going to do it in, I don't know, a virtual machine environment under Linux or Mac OS so it can't break anything. What were the deadly sins? Number one, not only using a proprietary installer that fakes errors, but also one that went out of business. And many other things. But anyway, that's my non-review of the product, and good luck with that, I guess. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. And this was frustrating.